We're going to start transmitting an interesting topic as usual. We normally discuss on various topics, and one of the main topics that we have been discussing lately is that topic of infrastructure. Infrastructure is any type of construction or development that provides value to a city, to a country, to a state, or a community. In terms of use, the idea is that it becomes practical. It has to be something that provides value, like a clinic, like a bridge, like a highway, schools, anything that gives value to the community in terms of permanent value, that would be considered as infrastructure. And chatting with Mich and Miky, we have discussed a number of constructions that give value to communities. And I'm going to welcome Miky. Miky, hello, how are you today?
Hi, teacher. I'm great, thank you much. And you?
Fantastic, thank you very much. Just coming back from Aguascalientes, I'm from León.
Oh, really? Yeah.
It was really nice. Nice people over there. Very smart people, knowledgeable above all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How was your week?
Uh, was good, teacher. Was relaxed because it was the last week, so we didn't do too much. And in terms of homework and works in the school, so all good, teacher. Thank you.
Very nice, very nice. I was starting to present the topic of infrastructure
Mm-hmm.
and the items that we were talking about the other day. Remember that we were talking about bridges, schools, wells, irrigation systems, everything connected to the well-being of a city. What was the conclusion that we had the other day, Mickey? Remember, we had a conclusion. We had an agreement about the infrastructure in our country, in our state, and I I believe we mentioned something of the nature that infrastructure in Guanajuato tends to be better than the infrastructure in other states, in the northern or the southern states. Do you
Mm-hmm.
agree with that concept?
Yes, teacher. We agreed because when we see the information, when we see the data, we noticed that, for example, Guanajuato has more hospitals, has more services in different aspects with in comparison with other countries, and it's something good because uh, it demonstrates that we are improving and that obviously there are a lot of things to improve, to still improving, but in some aspects we are improving and it's something good.
Yeah. How do we originate the budget to invest in infrastructure? In other words, if a city wants to build a bridge, if they want to build a clinic, if they want to build a highway, or if they
Hmm.
want to build a monument, etc.,
Hmm.
how do you imagine that they allocate the budget? Or how can they make it worth it? How do they value the development that they're going to carry out? Let's say that you have a budget for one of the following. You have a clinic, right? You need a clinic. Then there is the need of a bridge that will connect uh, two big colonies. And then we have, what else can we have? Let's say a
Hmm.
recreation center. What do you think?
Yeah, an amusement park or something
An
like that.
amusement park. Okay, amusement park. How can you make an assessment or an appraisal of the value of any of these three developments? Let's say that you have limited budget, and because you have limited budget, you need to give the highest value. And when you make your selection or your choice, how would you make the choice to develop any of these three uh, projects?
in few words, it's like how we're gonna decide about those. Well, how to destinate our budget. In which case is better for us.
Exactly, exactly. That's exactly the question. How is the decision making to choose one of these three projects,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you have limited budget, you cannot
Yeah.
make the three of them. You need to choose one of them. But then
Mm-hmm.
also, how do you make the decision? Based on what? And let me welcome Mitch that is connecting. Say
Yes.
hello. Mitch, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, teacher. I'm pretty good, thank you. A little tired because yesterday I do a lot of exercise, but here we are.
Very nice. Excellent. Thanks for attending this morning class. We couldn't do it on Friday nor on Wednesday, I think. So we're going to do. Did we do something on Wednesday? I believe we did,
Mm,
right?
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
on Wednesday, just
So,
something that we couldn't. Ah, but we
yeah.
had another class
Two,
pending of the other. I think that
two
is.
pending classes. Two pending classes. One for tomorrow, and we recover the other one next week, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
We were talking with Mickey Mitch when we have to develop our infrastructure, and we have three projects like a clinic, a bridge that will connect two big colonies, or an amusement park. How is the decision making, in your opinion, to choose one of these three projects? Because we
Clinic,
have limited budget.
clinic.
The clinic, yeah. How do you decide? How do you make the
Uh,
decision?
Seeing the priorities, which is more important, which the population needs faster.
Okay, so you check the number of people you are going to benefit.
Mm-hmm,
Okay, well, in this case, you probably benefit more people with the clinic than with the bridge or with the amusement park, right?
mm-hmm.
What other situations can be like this, Mickey, in which it is not so easy to decide? I don't know. Also, I didn't ask you, Mickey, how would you decide on the clinic, the bridge, or the amusement park?
Um, yeah. First of all, I think that it's necessary to see uh, the needs that uh, this specific place needs, and for example, if it's a, I don't know, a zone where there are a lot of highways, probably it will be better to build a bridge that will connect, I don't know, different cities or different colonies. Or if it's, I don't know, if it's a zone where there are a lot of, um, what's this word? Um, Colonies or streets, and probably they don't have a park or something. Probably it would be good to put an amusement park. Or the third option, if there's a place where there's no medical services, of course, the the best option, the better option will be build a clinic. So I think that it's necessary to check all the context and see all the different factors.
Okay, I believe that you're saying a very important phrase that is check all the context, check the numbers, because it can be that in the location there are already two clinics. Like, for example, you have Iste and you have the general hospital. So
Yeah.
maybe you say that one extra clinic is not really that necessary because you already have enough service for all the people. Or
Hmm.
it can be, as you said, also that maybe there are enough bridges to connect the colonies, so a third bridge would not be necessary. Or if you want to build an amusement park next to Irequa Park, you would not say, well, but wait, there is the Irequa Park already.
Yeah.
So it's redundant, right? So
Hmm.
we don't want to be not being redundant.
Mm, anyways, if we choose the amusement park, it says that we have limited budget and maintain an amusement park. It costs a lot. Just let's see Six Flags. They need another money to maintain that park.
But Six Flags is private.
I know, but for example, one little gain from the Feria de las Fresas needs 30 30,000 pesos to maintain one motor of a little game. I'm not talking about the big games. I'm talking about like the um, Barco Pirata.
The pirate ship.
Yes.
But obviously, everything needs money to stay maintained. I think so. Doesn't matter if it's a clinic. Doesn't matter if it's a highway or bridge. Amusement park. Everything needs money to maintain.
Yeah, yes, but how
For
gonna
example,
continue?
imagine a clinic without medicines or without doctors. It's the same.
No. Este, how you gonna pay all those medicines and the sueldos
The salaries or
and
wages.
salaries of the doctors, and how can you cost you maintain one single bridge, um, or how can you maintain I don't know if your amusement park has a minimum 50 mechanic games. It's
Well,
I think it's a lot of difference.
what you both are doing is extremely important and extremely interesting. In reality, what you're trying to do is to develop a flow chart, a flow chart, or a balance sheet that includes the inflows. The inflows is the money that comes in, inflows, and the outflows, which is the money that we need to maintain the place, right? Maintain. And maintaining a place includes lots of items, like Mickey says, medicines, like you correctly say, Mitch, repair and maintenance of the motors, the engines, the oiling the equipment is important, cutting the grass, the gardens, the water, and not only the medicines. You need disinfectants. You need to constantly so we need to organize the balance sheet in terms of inflows and outflows.
Hmm.
Inflows is the money that we acquire, which can be not only the federal, state, and domestic budget or money, but also if they charge for anything. For example, even if some hospitals are public, the pharmacy is private, or it has a cost. Not always, but sometimes certain medicines have a cost, so they obtain money not only through the federal, state, and domestic money or budget, right? So when we talk about the administration of public services, is really complicated because we're not looking for economic profit, but to sorry, maximize well, I cannot spell, maximize the number of people who benefit. For example, I'm going to ask you something. How would you count how important your theater is, or your museum, theater or museum, or another public place like let's say Ciudad Deportiva, right, which is an amusement park,
Hmm.
amusement or another public service, museum, theater, amusement park, a school, a public school, of course. We're talking about public goods that the municipality builds. How can you say that it is justified and that it is successful? Because you're not going to make money. So how can you know that your public school, your public museum, your public entity is successful? How do you know that?
Um, uh, there are different metrics that give us that information. For example, uh, we can see if it's popular or not. depending of the people that goes to those places. For example, if there's an amusement park that doesn't have people, probably it wouldn't be successful. Or if there's a school but without students, obviously there's wouldn't be a successful too either. Sorry. So yeah.
Exactly. So you count the number of visits, the number of students, the number of visitors to the place. And let's say that in the case of museums, for example, the municipal museum, which is basically empty, but it's a nice project. How would you foster the attendance of people? How would you do that, Mitch? How do you foster attendance of people?
What means foster?
Foster, promote, fomentar. Foster is fomentar.
Okay. Uh, the place has a good marketing. If you obviously have to actualize your kind of marketing and publicity. How you do you want to promote your place? There, I see still places that use a lot of how can I say folletos, magazines,
Flyers.
flyers to promote their places. But being honest, in the era of the players, there was not very effective. Less in the current times. You have to pass in the digital marketing, and then okay, now that you have a good marketing and the people come to see to your place, but now is the opinion of the people what opinion of your place. If your place is bad, they're gonna tell anyone they know, okay, don't go there because it's very bad. um, or vice versa, they could help you to attract more people if they opinion good of your place.
They have a good opinion, right? Exactly right. Let me open the door really quick. Excuse me. What about you, Mickey? What do you think? Uh, we believe that, for instance, the local museum is basically empty. It's a public
Mhm.
place that has a budget, the, but it's empty. We don't want to call it a wasted effort. However, if we consider the success of a place by the number of visitors or the people who attend the place, we would say that the municipal museum is a failure, at least in my humble opinion, of course. How would you make it work if that was the assignment that, for example, the mayor of the city asked you, "Hey, Mickey, Mitch, let's make this museum work." What would the strategies be for you guys to make it work?
Uh, I think that it's necessary to attract young people because uh, obviously a museum is to, I don't know, create more knowledge or to learn about different things. And I think that young people, kids and youngsters in general, uh, we need to take their attention. So probably I will do, I don't know, events, probably a talent show or something like that. That because there are people that here in Irapuato that doesn't know that there's a museum here. So I think that is necessary to first of all shows them that there's a museum and the different things that has.
Okay,
There's
very
a
good.
museum.
Now, Mitch had a very good idea, and I like the idea very much. She says that we need to promote it digitally, that the advertisements shouldn't be with flyers anymore, but now they must be attracted through digital marketing.
Yes,
However,
because
there is a fight. How would they even see an ad about visiting a museum if they are bombarded with movies, gossip, memes? events and this and that. How do you compete for space in Facebook? In other words, they're going to open their Facebook and they won't see the museum. If there is a banner or if there is an ad, they will probably skip it. So, my question now is more specific. How do you attract the attention of students, even in Facebook, if there are thousands of things that bombard them and that they feel more attached to or more attracted to? How would you do that?
Mm, Actually, in the school, barely teaches things like that. Um, we could say for the youngster, they need to know what they're going to obtain. We have to be very direct and assertive. Um, with what kind of experience they're gonna have, what kind of time with their friends they're going to have, what new knowledge going to have, if they're going to be, of course, the subject of the exposition has to be something interesting to them because for example, if it is a no, forget that. But yes, no, 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 no. Period.
I, you're mentioning something extremely interesting, Mitch. You say that they need to know what they are going to get, what knowledge they're going to acquire, and that the exposition must be appealing, that is attractive. Um, how do you do that? It's not only that you just drag the students to the museum, right? You need to
Mhm.
present something that is appealing, something that is attractive. And now we need to know about the psychology of students, youngsters, kids, or adults or young adults. What is appealing? That is the question. Actually, that leads us to a very, very interesting question. What is appealing for different people? Let me write the question down here. What is appealing to you, Mickey? When you go to see the concerts of those great artists from England, from the US, from different countries, you don't go to the corner, you go a far distance. You and Mitch and friends go to Guadalajara to watch a concert that also is not cheap, right?
Mhm.
So it's very interesting the question of what appeals people. What appeals people? Youngsters, like Mitch says, kids, youngsters, kids. What is it so appealing?
Mm, for example, in concerts and all stuff, probably that the artist is popular in the different platforms in Spotify, in YouTube, or appears in different TV programs or with different famous people, and it attracts the attention of the youngsters, I think.
It
Uh,
appears in various programs, and what else did you say? Appears in programs and
and that they normally, what's this word? How do you say convive? I forgot.
he shares time
Yeah, and they normally share time with famous people too.
with famous people. So, how would we summarize this text in one word? Could we say prestige?
Yeah.
They are prestigious people, right? So that is something that attracts people, right?
Hmm.
Well, very interesting. Well, that is a very valid and very interesting way that probably should teach a lesson to the government officials that are willing to that not that are willing that need to develop the programs to attract people because they sometimes don't even think of the basics, right? Yes, what is it that attracts people and they don't know?
Yeah.
So when you say that this is what attracts people, it is really important. What else attracts people, Mitch, besides prestige?
Uh, government. Attracts people.
For
And
example, you went to Guadalajara with Mickey, right, to this concert.
yes,
Why did you decide to go? Why is it so exciting, so nice, so interesting, so appealing? Why was that?
because even if they are not so famous, they sing very, very well, and was a good
Very.
experience for that.
I wonder if the fact that there are lots of people and this creates a collective enthusiasm or collective enthusiasm, which is really, really interesting. It's like going to watch a football game, right? It's not the same when people tell you that the football games is with an empty stadium and that you cannot enter, or if it's going to be full of people who are enthusiastic, yelling, shouting, screaming, singing, dancing, etc. So, do you think that collective enthusiasm is contagious, or what do you think about that? Do you agree with this concept, or more or less?
Masuoka. Ah, yes. In some way, they contagious, you, uh, or the same emotion or hype, and automatically you don't know why, but you want to be in there too.
Exactly, exactly. So, too much or not too much? A lot, huge excitement. People are very happy, very excited, very emotional, right? Emotion triggers, emotions are triggered. Okay, that is interesting. Okay, this happens in concerts of famous people that completely fill stadiums or auditoriums. How do you transfer this to a theater or not to a theater, to a museum that is kind of the opposite? People are quiet, people should be more or less silent. How do you create excitement in a place that should be silent? How do you create excitement? Or
Um,
yes, Mickey.
I think that, for example, here in Irapuato, uh, needs to promote different events to youngster people. So probably when you see people from your same age, or when you see topics about, I don't know, for example, an exposition of the story of video games or something like that, probably it will be attract the interest of more people, and there's not necessary to create a massive event to do it, just to attract uh, topics that would interest to different type of people.
Topics that would interest or appeal,
Hmm.
attract various. Can you cite examples, Mickey, please?
Yeah, for example, I remember it was around 3 years ago in Parque Bicentenario here in Silao.
Yes.
They made an exposition about video games, and it was there are different there was different screens, and in each screen shows the story, for example, from Nintendo, from Xbox, and different artifacts or the different consoles that they use to create the final version. And when I went to that exposition, probably of 100% of people, 85 or until 90% of all of them were youngsters. So obviously they attract in a good way the attention of young people.
So, choosing an interesting and attractive, enticing topic. I'm sorry, I need to be waking up here. I chose the wrong place in the school
No
today. I should
worries.
have been upstairs and the other teacher here downstairs. Um, so, um, okay, Mickey, Mitch, thank you very much. Other topics that would be attractive to students besides video games, what else would be attractive? Video games.
Um, Probably the last year was an event in Leon. It was about the technology,
Okay.
and I don't remember the name. It was in the at the Polyforum, but
Okay.
I don't remember the name. But it was about different artifacts that, for example, VR. Um, I don't know if there was a song about agriculture and the different technology that now applies to the agriculture. And in the tracks, universities, for example, Instituto went. Uh,
Okay.
I wasn't invited, but some groups were invited to that convention, and it attracts a lot of people and young people too.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, so we have to be very smart to attract youngsters, and one way is to use video games, technology. Um, how about now that you're mentioning famous people? Have you been to Mexico City or to Guadalajara to the wax museums? Have you ever been there? Wax museums?
Yes,
What do you,
not in Guadalajara, but in Mexico City.
Mexico City. How do you like it? Don't you think it is amazing? Don't you think that is something really, really nice to see famous characters of history
Hmm.
made in wax out of wax?
Hmm. Yeah, and it is funny because you can take pictures there, and yeah, I really like it. And to those places goes people to normally goes people of different ages, from kids to seniors and all kind of people.
Right. Now, do you know if that wax museum in Mexico City is public or private?
I don't know. Normally, I have a theory. Probably it's the same owner of the Ripley's Museum, because in Guadalajara too was uh, how do you say, uh, one with the other, or it was divided. It was like a same place, but it was divided in two, and it was Ripley and the Wax Museum. And I noticed in Guadalajara that it was the same. Probably it's of them, the owner. I don't know.
Okay, so you think it's a private person, right?
Yeah, I think
A
so.
private owner. All right. So they have a way to make things work for some reason. And on the other hand, occasionally, it looks to me, I don't know what you think, Mitch. Do you think that private enterprises are more successful than public enterprises, or what's your take on this? That's a question. Are private private companies more successful than public, or they're the same, or it depends? It's not necessarily on the owner that decides if it's going to be successful or not. What do you think about this, Mitch?
Mm, well, I'm not informed about it, but as my perspective, I could say that uh, depends. Depends of the what if it is good or bad, each one. For I could say of an example like the schools. For example, the Tech of Monterrey uh, is private. It's too expensive, but it has a lot of prestige for because I'm not very sure they have a very good installations. But if we see a normal Guanajuato College, uh, also have good prestige, but uh, wow, I don't know how really compare them. Mm, maybe it's not that popular because uh, things about marketing of them, or is difficult to enter them. How I don't know. What is your opinion, teacher?
It's a very good comment. What you're saying is not easy to compare because it's not totally apples with apples. It may be apples with pears, or it can be apples with peaches. It's not you cannot make a comparison uh, absolutely equivalent. Mm, for example, you take the Polytechnical Institute. I have been there. I have seen people. I have seen the students that finish some from this school, and they are extremely well prepared. The positions there are very competitive. It's not easy to enter, and we have one student here. Oh, remember Pablo that you had a conversation in Christmas with him? Remember that Mickey and you came here to the school with Pablo and Nati?
Oh,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Well, Pablo studies at the Polytechnical Institute. He's a really smart kid, as you guys are, of course. But he's in a public university, which is the Polytechnical Institute in in León, and he refers to the school in very high way. Right, it's a public institution. But on the other hand, you also have some faculties like the Faculty of Music in the University of Guanajuato that has extremely good faculties like the Faculty of Law, the Faculty of Engineering, the Faculty of Medicine. They are very good. But the Faculty of Music, when Sofia, my daughter, was there, the teachers would not arrive. She would be there 1 hour before the class started because she was so eager, so anxious, so willing to learn the music lessons, and it was the class at 9 and she was at 8:15 waiting for the class to start. Of course it came 9 and the teacher wasn't there, and 9:15 and 9:30, and they never showed up. So she finally decided to quit, and then she says, no, I'm going to go to Querétaro now. She got disappointed. So some faculties are very well managed and some others are very poorly managed, and that is sad because in the public infrastructure, in public institutions, it takes longer to fix them in general because they are more less organic. Public institutions are less organic, and that is something really, really important in the way companies are managed. If you see a problem in a private institution, take a look at Instituto, for example, where you guys study. If there is a problem, it normally gets resolved really quick, right? They don't like a manager, they don't like a teacher, they don't like a director, they don't like a coordinator. They make a meeting and go there he goes or there she goes, right? um, but in a public institution, it normally takes longer. So it is because public institutions normally have a more vertical infrastructure or structure. Let's say vertical structures versus organic structures. For example, I don't know if you guys, Mickey or Mitch, have heard of the concept lean manufacturing in the automotive industry. Have you heard this, or have you read this in your textbooks or in from friends, or have you read this phrase, lean manufacturing? You familiar with this
Yeah.
concept? What is that, Mickey?
Uh, well, it's like in Spanish, it's something like manufactura esbelta or
Yes, exactly, exactly. What does it mean by that?
uh,
Do you think it's organic, is easy to move, or is difficult to move? If you need a change, if you need that the communication flows quickly, you think it's going to flow more easily in an organic structure or in a vertical structure?
I remember that it was like a Japanese term, right? I
Yes,
don't know if
exactly.
it was of a factory of cars. I don't remember if it was Mazda or Toyota or something like that. But I remember that the teacher, because I see this topic the last year, and it talks about that they try to eliminate the how can I say desperdicios or
Waste, yes, waste. They
yeah,
try to
that's right.
eliminate waste.
Uh-huh. And at the same time to maximize the value of the product that we're doing for the client.
Right. Yes, exactly. So they need to operate and make changes quickly. That's why they
Yeah.
need an organic structure. They need organic structures to make the corresponding adjustments very quickly, right? So this is prevalent. This is incredibly important. And obviously, when you want to modify, when you want to make a correction, you don't have time to go to the boss of the boss of the boss in a division that is in Germany, right? That is now closed because it's Saturday, or that you are trying to fix a problem and it's 4 o'clock in Mexico and it's 10 or 11 o'clock in Germany, depending on the season. And you don't have time to call and wait for tomorrow to solve the problem. So you need to make the decisions quickly and internally and domestically. And so you need to be in charge very quickly. That's why you need organic structures. We once talked about vertical structures, and which ones do you or come to your mind, Mitch, when we say vertical structures? The ones that are extremely slow, very hard to respond, that they take weeks or years to do something. Which are these type of structures? Examples?
I think I didn't understand the question.
Yes. Can you give examples of vertical structures, two vertical structures that take a long time to modify the rules, to change, to implement a decision, as opposed to the organic structures? Oh, the, um, the electricity, I'm sorry. Which ones, um, which structures are vertical and are very slow to move, to take
Mm,
decisions, to organize themselves?
maybe it could be mm, schools, temples,
Temples, yes. Well, the church, of course. The church, some schools,
some
yes.
schools. Uh, I don't know.
You think the military and some other government, the government in general, right? Government
Yes.
is very vertical. Imagine the process to change a law.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be to the Chamber of Senators, the Chamber of Deputies, has to go through a very long process. So to change a law takes years, if not more, right? Decades. Whereas if you need to implement a change, so the conclusion of these vertical structures is that they take very long to implement changes. That's the characteristic. They are very solid because imagine that you want to remove a person from the chain. It takes the permit of the permit of the permit of the authorization of 3 4 people, right? So it's going to take long time to implement.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, they are very slow. Whereas organic structures, Mickey, what is the characteristic of organic structures?
Organic structures.
Yes, what is something characteristic of organic structures like the car industry?
Uh, yeah, it's something that is fluid or that is more flexible in a way.
Yes, it is.
Because there are better communication and there are they. I think that one of the advantages is that not only one person take a decision. It's like a decision making, but with a group of people, and they can decide what is better for the enterprise or not. And yeah, it's not like something more uh, so mm, how can I say bureaucratic? I don't know if it's
Bureaucratic, right? It's less bureaucratic.
yeah,
Less
it's less bureaucratic.
less bureaucratic. So, okay, this is very important when we want to decide on how to make an organization, how to establish an organization that can work more fluently. How about I'm going to come back to the topic of um, I think it was with you, Mitch and Mickey, that we established that this type of organization, which is a social organization, which is the
Hmm.
cooperatives, we saw that in Germany there are 7,200 cooperatives with co-ops. With what's the population of Germany? We said I
Uh,
think it was 84 million, right? Then for Canada, were like 8,000 cooperatives with 35 million people, I think, more or less. And Mexico had 600
600.
cooperatives, which is incredible with 125 million people.
Oh my.
What do you think of this, Mitch?
We're grown.
What does it tell you about the social behavior of people or citizens? What does it say to you that there are only 600 cooperatives in a country with 125 million people?
Cooperatives was the organization who helps the citizens or things like that.
Well, that's a good question.
Hmm.
Let's look for the formal definition. Can you look up the formal definition, Mickey, please? What the
Yep.
formal definition of a cooperative is? There is a definition here.
I found
Oh,
here that
yes, Mickey.
a cooperative is an association of persons that is owned and controlled by the people to meet their common economic, social, and/or cultural needs and aspirations through a jointly owned and democratically controlled business.
So a cooperative is an association of people that looks for economic benefit, right? And they are all owners. It's a common ownership, right? As compared to other organizations that is a singular owner, just one owner, right? So a corporation can have one or many owners. Let me get rid of. Excuse me. Um, a corporation. Let me get a blank sheet. Okay. So a cooperative
Are you sharing,
has.
teacher? Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Let me share. Here. This is very important from the social standpoint of view. We have a cooperative has multiple owners. Consequently, the money is disbursed among various people. And the money can also be the profit, right? That's a cooperative. Whereas a corporation, right, is organization with one or few owners, maybe associates. And there the money is distributed among very few people. So that tells you everything um, about the other numbers, right? Mexico with 600 cooperatives, co-ops. Germany 7,200. Canada 8,000 cooperatives. Well, that will make us think of a plan to reverse this. That is a question for a doctoral degree, of course, right? How can we reverse these numbers? how can we increase the number of cooperatives in Mexico? Is basically the question that we would like to investigate maybe for next for tomorrow. Maybe we're having a class tomorrow, right, Mickey, Mitch?
Yes, sure.
So how can we reverse these numbers? How can we make our country have more cooperatives? And it's a question very easy to make, like all the questions that we make that I make. But uh, why don't we think about it, Mickey, Mitch,
Yes,
and
sure.
maybe we discuss this tomorrow, and we extend a little bit more tomorrow. Maybe we do an hour 10, an hour 20 minutes, if that's possible with you guys.
Yes, sure. Don't worry.
Would that
I
be
know that
okay?
you have something to do at 9:30, right?
Yeah, yeah, I have a class now.
Okay,
Uh,
sure. Don't
but
worry.
tomorrow in the morning we can discuss this at length. What do you think, Mitch?
Sure.
Could it be okay?
Yes,
Okay.
sure.
Well, as usual, very interesting discussion. Let's see if we find the solutions because we want to fix the world, but we don't always do.
Yeah. Well, we try.
We try, right?
Hmm.
Okay. Well, see you tomorrow. What time would it be okay? 8,
Uh,
8:39.
for example, if it's at 8, for me would be perfect. But I don't know, Mitch or you.
For me, 8 would be
8:30.
fine. 8:30? How about 8:30, Mickey? Would it be okay?
8:30? Yeah, it's
Or
okay
you're
too.
tight? You're tight with other activities that you have to do in the morning.
No, no, but I like to do the class in the morning. To the rest of the class, do my homework or do something like that.
Okay.
But it's okay, 8:30.
8:30, okay? All right. Well, see you tomorrow then. Take care. Thank you, guys. Mitch,
You
Mickey,
too,
enjoy.
teacher.
See you tomorrow. I have a
Bye,
wonderful
teacher.
day.